Hello everyone, we've been watching G1 over on the Patreon. You can get there and do it for $1. Everything on there is $1. Like the whole membership thing.
Hi,
Anyway,
potato.
we were talking about Cliffjumper just a little, and yeah, basically we said, well, Cliffjumper doesn't really look like Bumblebee anymore, so he can kind of just have that design, and, well, Bumblebee continually looks different, so it kind of works.
Yeah, but they just keep offlining my boy. They shouldn't.
They shouldn't, Fable.
No, like literally, if they want to give more, if they want to give like more recognition to different characters, like actually give them a solid design. Try to work out the original character profiles by Bob Budiansky and work from there. Like just establish something slowly add on to it, like most writers should do when it comes to comic books. They should take the character, add on their takes to them, but slowly improve on it, and then have someone
Yeah.
else improve not
If I,
just completely get rid of one so they can bring back the other, because that just doesn't really bode well with me.
If I ever get my comics business started, Fable, you will basically probably be writing analog horror stories or little cute stories with animals, let's be honest.
Yeah, I already do that. Hello, Potato. How are
Um,
you? Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are ready. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. You all wanted
um,
me to play this.
and I have to do this reaction real quick, so, get you into this. Or I have to, for those who don't know, Fable's favorite Transformers clip
Time for a
jumper.
popular request from the comments section this
I
week as
love
we
Cliff
take a look at the
Jumper.
history of the
Let's see. I
little
love Cliff
red
Jumper,
Autobot who
Beachcomber.
everyone
He's literally becoming my new favorite boy.
Hmm.
this week as we take a look at the history of the little red Autobot who everyone always seems to think is just Bumblebee in different colors.
I mean, he is kind of
Cliff
Bumblebee
Jumper.
in different colors.
The
It
toy
is
that would
because they're
become the
both really
original.
young and impulsive does not mean that, because that was Cliff Jumper's original role, essentially.
Hmm.
Cliff Jumper was first released in the Japanese toy line Microchange in 1983.
I'm just glad
The
that
figure
these Skybound
transformed into a
comics are giving
super
them
deformed
justice.
Porsche 924 Turbo sports car and was imported by Hasbro to become part of the first year of the Transformers toy line in 1984. Cliff Jumper was one of the line's small-scale Autobot mini
People start
vehicles
better
and
coming
was
into the
released in
stream. I
both
swear to God, I'm gonna fight you all. You all
Oh my
wanted
god.
this to happen.
Those don't know, Fable's streaming something right now.
red and yellow variants. But pretty much all the marketing made it clear that red was his real color.
Really?
Cliff Jumper's toy shared engineering with his fellow Autobot Bumblebee. The two toys transformed the
Wait, they
same way, but they were
transformed to
otherwise
slightly
totally
different
different,
stuff.
with Bumblebee turning into a Volkswagen Beetle. But their similarity earned Cliff Jumper a reputation among fans as just being a Bumblebee recolor.
Well, they
a
do
popular
look
but
exactly alike.
incorrect view of the character that would hang over him in years to come. While developing a
Okay, let's
profile
see.
for Cliff Jumper,
Okay,
Marvel
so
Comics writer
WS,
Bob
WSD8
Budiansky initially named
is-
him Blowout before changing it. He was characterized
Blowout?
as a speedy and daring little warrior who really hated Decepticons and was always so eager to wade into battle.
Oh yeah, I should say this. Since me and Fable first started watching the G1, over on the Patreon, like I said, we saw a little part where Cliff Jumper pulled out a bazooka out of nowhere and tried to shoot Megatron.
Yeah, that was funny. My favorite Transformers are B, Jackie, Springer, and Ultra Magnus. Ah, yes, Ultra Magnus, my boy. I love him. He's part of my favorites, to be honest.
Let me
For the Autobots, it's literally Cliff Jumper, Optimus Prime, Optimus. Oh, he's a Maximal, but Optimus Primal. Cliff. I already said Cliff Jumper. Beachcomber, and definitely Ultra Magnus. I love those guys.
I would have to
On the
say
Decepticons, it's literally at the moment, freaking Shockwave.
Shockwave. I thought you hated
Now, sorry,
Shockwave.
Soundwave. Again, I'm gonna get them confused. I'm not sorry. But yes, thank
Well,
you
you
guys for
should.
correcting my pain.
Well,
I
you
have to
should
do
be
all.
sorry. Anyway,
WSPA, okay. Use, okay.
alright. Well, while Fable's doing that, I'll deafen him for a bit so we can get through this video. But yes, he's in and out for a bit.
We can no clip in this game? That's
Anyway.
that he sometimes bit off more than he could chew.
Yeah.
His signature weapon was his glass gas,
What?
which could make metal as brittle as glass.
Oh, that's
Writing
kind
this
of
profile
horrifying.
was about all Budiansky ever did with Cliffjumper, though, as
Oh.
the character never got to do very much in the Marvel comic itself, beyond dousing the Decepticon jets with glass gas in the first issue.
Damn.
Cliffjumper enjoyed a larger role in the Transformers animated series,
They do look
appearing
slightly different
semi-regularly
here.
throughout the show's first 2 seasons, voiced by actor Casey Kasem.
Look at Megatron. I'm gonna blast that smile off his faceplate.
God damn.
He
was
played a
ready.
memorable part in the series' pilot episode, working with
Yeah.
Hound to locate the Decepticons soon after the Transformers' awakening on Earth. And he shared the spotlight with Mirage in Traitor, a showcase episode for the pair in which a series of unfortunate coincidences and misunderstandings wrongly convinced Cliffjumper that Mirage was secretly working for the Decepticons.
Which is crazy.
This episode presented Cliffjumper as surly, short-tempered, and quick to suspicion. Something he
Yes.
wasn't in the rest of the series.
Really?
But as one of his biggest roles, it proved very influential on the popular perception of his character.
Makes
Later
sense.
series have often depicted Cliffjumper with these traits. Cliffjumper's toy was discontinued in 1986, which led to him
Oh,
being
he's so
phased
tiny
out
there.
of both the comic and the cartoon. In the comic, he was one of several Autobots knocked offline by a Decepticon-controlled copy of Optimus
Oh,
Prime.
damn.
In stories exclusive to the United Kingdom's version of the comic, he had a different fate, taken out by the Decepticons while searching for the rogue Dinobots.
Damn.
In animation, he took
He
his
gets
final
killed a
bow
lot.
in The Transformers the Movie, in
Oh,
which he and Jazz were consumed along with Cybertron's first moon by the monster planet Unicron.
Just
He
gets
was
eaten up by
rescued
Unicron.
from within
Oh,
Unicron during the
never mind.
film's climax, but he didn't make any further appearances in the cartoon afterwards. It wasn't until the early 2000s that Cliffjumper's name would be heard again, when Hasbro
Oh,
experimented with
I think I remember
reusing
this
the
one.
name on new, completely different characters unrelated to the original. 2002's Transformers Armada featured a female Cliffjumper, a
Don't
quiet,
remember this one at
withdrawn
all.
Minicon
Ah,
scientist
Minicon.
who turned into an off-road pickup truck
That explains it.
partnered with the Autobot Cheetor. Armada's 2004 sequel series, Energon, featured
See,
its own
I do
Cliffjumper.
kind of remember this one.
A sleek Autobot June buggy, characterized as a thrill-seeking stunt driver who loved to take unnecessary risks. As
Hmm.
seen in the Energon cartoon, this Cliffjumper served under the elderly Autobot Bulkhead, alongside fellow young warrior Downshift. But this
Downshift?
experimentation proved short-lived. In 2006, the original Cliffjumper returned with a new toy in the Transformers
Cool.
Classics line. This figure was a straight recolor of the Classics
I see.
Bumblebee toy,
Makes sense.
finally turning Cliffjumper into the B recolor that many people thought he already was. This set Cliff on a track he continues on to this day. He's become the go-to recolor for Bumblebee toys, with virtually every new version of the character being just a recolor of a concurrent bee. Maybe getting a new head if he's lucky.
Damn.
After Classics came 2007's live-action
They slap an area. They slap. They do that a lot, or they did that a lot, mostly so that they could keep the trademark of the names common. It's not that surprising that the company would do that, honestly.
movie toy line and its various spin-offs and sequels, which featured numerous Cliffjumper recolors of different Bumblebee toys. Then the Transformers animated cartoon in 2008, in which Cliffjumper made a few brief appearances as a member
yeah.
of the Autobot Intelligence Division on
He
Cybertron.
was on there.
It was in comic books that Cliffjumper had some of
Feature
his
marks
more
up, you
notable
know.
adventures this decade, with highlights.
Stop calling me Sparkplug.
It was in comic books that Cliffjumper had some of his more notable adventures this decade, with highlights including a starring role in Fun Publications' Shattered Glass series that saw him transported from his world into a mirror universe of evil Autobots and heroic Decepticons.
Ah, yeah.
and
Still
a
need to look at
self-titled
that basics.
Spotlight one-shot from IDW Publishing, in which he temporarily found peace and escaped from the war after being stranded on an alien planet with a pair of native children. He also enjoyed a significant appearance in 2012's
Oh,
Fall of Cybertron
Yeah, you could play as
video
him.
game, which paid homage to the Transformers the movie by teaming him up with Jazz for a mission to the Sea of Rust. But the series that
I do
really
remember that.
helped Cliffjumper stand out as his own unique character for the first time since the original was 2010's Transformers Prime.
What car is that?
This series' incarnation of Cliffjumper had an entirely original design, totally separate from Bumblebee, with a muscle car alternate mode.
Doesn't look
He
like
was
a bad
bigger,
toy.
tougher version of the character, jovial, bantering, and happy-go-lucky, who had befriended the Autobot loner RC when they
Nice.
escaped Decepticon captivity together and helped to bring her out of her shell. Cliff featured prominently in promotional material for the Prime cartoon, and with movie star Dwayne Johnson cast to perform his voice,
Really?
the series looked set to be his big moment in the sun.
You want the horns? You got 'em.
I can't
So
believe that.
audiences were pretty shocked when it all turned out to be a bait and switch, and Cliffjumper died at the hands of Starscream in the first episode. Worse
Wow.
yet, the Decepticons subsequently experimented on his remains with dark
Oh my
energon,
God.
briefly resurrecting him.
Wait,
as a
wait, I
mindless-
understand why they did it now. It's because Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you have to pay him a lot of money to do anything, especially nowadays. So it honestly kind of should have been expected from numero uno.
Terrorcon zombie.
Ooh.
His death would haunt RC for the rest of the series.
Not
And though his
surprising.
time on the show was short, several figures of him were released in the Prime toy line, including both his regular and zombie forms.
Ooh.
Cliffjumper didn't have another major appearance until 2018's Bumblebee movie, a brief role that saw him killed by Decepticon Shatter and Dropkick.
God.
Combined with Prime, and an appearance in IDW's Unicron comic book the same year, in which he was one of many Transformers killed by the Monster Planet. the film
cannot get a
seems to have
break,
given
can
him a
he?
reputation as a character who dies all the time.
Not
But that's
surprising.
not really true. What is true is that despite the strides Prime made, old associations die hard, as the film returned to once again depicting Cliff as sharing a body design with Bumblebee. Transformers Media itself has even recently started to make jokes about the character's resemblance, most notably a comedic story in the Transformers Galaxies comic book in
Huh.
2020,
Cool.
which presented Cliffjumper as having lived his entire life in Bumblebee's shadow, constantly
Oh.
being mistaken for him.
God damn.
The story took Cliffjumper to the planet Probat, where the inhabitants worshipped Bumblebee, until Cliff became
Weird.
their new hero after he saved them from the evil Deathsaurus. Also in 2020, Cliffjumper had
Oh.
a brief cameo in Netflix's War for Cybertron animated series, and got a new toy in the Earthrise toy line.
Nice.
But while the cartoon made him just another red bee, for the first time in years,
Guy's
the
bazooka.
toy wasn't a recolor of a pre-existing Bumblebee, but a brand new figure based on Cliffjumper's original Porsche toy, and even came with the giant bazooka he used in the original cartoon's first.
If you see the episode that we do on the Patreon, you'll see us where we ask, where did he get that? Where is it stored on the toy? I'm guessing it has to be somewhere inside. He's way too expensive. Oh, damn. Yeah, or you were talking about Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah, he's way too expensive.
episode. And later in the year, it would be retooled and recolored to create a new Bumblebee figure instead of the other way around. Cliffjumper and
Makes sense.
Bumblebee might be inextricably linked, but it looks like there's hope yet that this feisty
Was
little
swapped
Autobot
around.
can change his fortunes and make fans realize that he's more than
Then
just
meets-
another recolor.
For a minute, I thought you were going to say more than meets the eye.
And those are
God
the basics
damn it.
on Cliffjumper. Tell me in the comments which version's your favorite.
So, I didn't know much about Cliffjumper, quite literally. Like I said, the only parts we've seen is the first few parts of G1 and the video game that I played. I didn't watch a lot of the shows except for, Energon, the whole Unicron trilogy. But I do have to ask, what are your all thoughts on Cliffjumper? Do you like him? Do you hate him? Do you love him like Fable over here does? Either way, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye. And take care of yourselves.